You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, Posture Screen, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Moguls, 5-Star Management, Chiro Health USA, Local Gold, The Goodman Factor, McCaffrey Clinical Mentoring, Chiro Thin, Unmarket Your Practice, and Free My Pain Now with Dr. Matt Doduro. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 141 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your co-host, Luke Millette. Here's your host, Jim Chester.
Hey guys, so today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Cliff Tao. And if you want to know more about the certainty with X-ray and to see what's lying beneath each case, stay tuned. So this is episode 141 today, and we have the honor of interviewing Cliff Tao. And Cliff, you are coming in from Irvine, California, correct?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being with us on this episode of Chiro Hustle podcast. And per our form, we just want you to jump right into it and tell us your chiropractic story and what influenced you to become a chiropractor.
It's, honestly, I don't remember what I put on that form, but it's a bit of a story. So a little bit of background. My dad is a medical radiologist. He's retired now, but, he was that for 40 years or something. And so, I kind of had some inkling into the healthcare and, being a doctor and all that. And my mom, I think this is the typical Asian mom. She's like, you can be a doctor or you're going to be a lawyer, no other choices. My dad was more like, you got to do something that you enjoy, that you like, if you want to be whatever, salesman, whatever, garbage collector, you be that because that's what you're going to like, do something that you enjoy. So I had this conflict throughout my whole childhood, didn't know what I wanted to do, kind of want to, satisfy both parents' wishes. And so chiropractic kind of came naturally because I love the human body. I loved anatomy. I remember when I was in high school and I would make sketches of muscles and the skeleton and kind of, if you're familiar with Netter, he's like an anatomical artist. I would draw my own little things that way. And then kind of along that process, I was big into cycling at one point, and I would read all the bicycling magazines at the time. And I remember reading this one column, and it was by Jeff Spencer, a chiropractor. And he was the chiro for some Tour de France teams. But he, more than, my knowledge of chiro at the time was pretty limited. And I thought it was just involved the spine and really didn't know much about it. My dad, I had told my dad, he's like, yeah, I don't know anything about chiros either. Sometimes I get X-rays from them and they have all these lines on them. He didn't know what it was about, but he's like, yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine too. And, but I thought it was cool that Dr. Spencer knew everything about the human body and cycling, biomechanics, positioning on the bike, how to fit a bike, things wrong with their hands. He knew. I'm like, oh, wow. And people trusted him. And it looked like it was a really good profession to be in.
So what does your mom think about you being a chiropractor?
She didn't like it in the beginning. She's like the typical general population person. She's like, you're not a real doctor. I'm like, well, I'm not. I'm a chiropractor. Do I want to be a real doctor? No. I guess I could be, but I'm not. So, I get it. It's not what the people think a doctor is, but it's fine. I'm a chiropractor. I'm not pretending to be a medical doctor. And it took me a while to kind of get my practice going where it's comfortable. So in the beginning, she still didn't like it when I was practicing, but now I think she's okay with it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So she actually helps me out every once in a while.
So what would you say makes you unique or different in the chiropractic world? Are you doing anything differently that stands out?
I think so. So I don't know how familiar you are with my practice, Luke, but I run a radiology practice. So all we do here is we read X-rays and other imaging from other chiropractors. And it could be almost anything. We have a team of guys and gals here. We have chiropractic radiologists and we have medical radiologists. So we can almost handle any kind of imaging, X-rays, MRIs. We don't talk to patients. I know this sounds bad, but we almost pride ourselves on not talking to people. It's
Just like me.
Yeah. Hey, that works. It keeps us sane and it keeps us happy, and we can do our job better, I think, when we don't talk to patients. So that's what we do here. We just look at pictures, we type up reports, and we send them to our customers, who are the chiropractors.
That is pretty unique. I've never really heard about that before.
Yeah, no one really knows about us. It's okay.
No, one of the things I want to ask you, though, because I know it's kind of controversial this day and age in the chiropractic space, talking about like radiology.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it so important for people to actually shoot X-rays on their patients to know what's going on?
Oh, well, to be honest, it depends on the chiropractor. We have all these different types of chiros. We have, on one end are so-called evidence-based guys who are more like a physical therapist with maybe a couple more tools. And on the other hand, on the other end of the spectrum, we have our very, I don't know what you want to call it, vitalistic or philosophical, subluxation-based types of chiropractors. And so, for the guys over here, they're more taking X-rays to rule out pathology. They find something when they're analyzing or evaluating the patient that leads them to take an X-ray. But they don't always adjust everyone, so they don't really need to have the X-ray all the time. Whereas the guys on this side, it's almost 100% certain they're going to be adjusting, moving the bones in whatever way. And so they really need to know if these bones are movable, right? If they say they palpate a joint and it feels stiff, that may be a joint that they need to adjust. But at the same time, you don't know unless you take a picture whether it's a joint that can be moved, right? It could be fused because of arthritis or some other reason. It could be congenital. And so for these guys over here that do adjustments, I think it's necessary to have the X-rays. To be honest, no one's going to die. Well, not no one, but it's unlikely someone's going to die if they don't have X-rays before you adjust them. But I think it helps in not only in ruling out things, but also in patient education, showing the patient, hey, this is your spine, this is what it looks like, this is what it should look like, here are the differences, here's where we can help you, here's where we can't help you maybe. And all that helps, I think, with patient compliance, right? Getting them on a plan or with whatever you want to call it, treatment plan, and help them get better.
Yeah, one of the things you said there that made me curious more about, but it also X-ray is a contraindicator to adjusting. Like if you find something that is on there that is ooh, look at what I just saw. There's a battleship on your C4.
Yeah,
I don't want to adjust and blow that battleship up. So we have to be cautious about where you guys are putting a force into. And I think that's the difference between, like you said, the different spectrums and camps. Now we're actually showing precautionary standards for when not to adjust rather than just go ahead and put a force in anytime you want to. So I think that it actually gives a blueprint to the human conditioning as to, is it safe and effective to put a force into this person's body, as opposed to, ooh, there could be ligamentous damage. Ooh, there could be an osteophyte that would chip off and cause some damage, who knows when, but it could.
Right.
So it basically is a ruling factor as to safe and effective chiropractic services. And I know a lot of times people want to bang the drum and say, well, what about the radiation? Is it safe to get radiation from X-rays? What would you say to that type of conversation?
That's a great question. Everyone learned in school, myself included, and during our full-time residency, 3 years after school, is that, all radiation is bad. And now, there's some research coming out and more opinions coming out that it's actually not as bad as we thought it was. But we don't know exactly what it is. So, there's people that take the super conservative approach, don't get any radiation unless you absolutely have to. And then there's other guys that say, oh no, it's okay as long as it's under, some threshold. So for me, X-rays in the medical imaging field is like the lowest dose of radiation there is. There's CT scans, there's nuclear medicine imaging, CT scans I mentioned already, but those all have higher amounts of radiation. So for X-rays, as if you're an adult, the risk is minimal to negligible. Kids, okay, there's minimal risk there too, a little bit higher than adults because they still have, bones that are still growing and forming and stuff like that. But I definitely think it's not as much of a hype as it used to be now. And like I said, things are still coming out and people are finding holes in the prior theory that was hypothesized. And now they're like, who knows anyone that has been hurt with X-rays, just from an anecdotal point of view. Nobody, I don't know anybody with X-rays. CT scans, okay, there's been some cases here and there, but with plain X-ray, I've never heard of any case studies documenting that someone got some kind of disease from getting too many X-rays.
And that's just it. Anytime we have any type of imaging or any type of medical analysis, we want to do no harm. And we want to have more of a positive outcome by performing such measures. So I think like what you're saying is makes full sense to me. Is like if people aren't getting hurt and it helps us identify any contraindicators to adjusting, then we should definitely consider that X-ray is safe and effective, and that it's something that we should utilize because one of the things that I always kind of use as like the benchmark is we don't want to guess with your health. And when we're not guessing with health and we're doing actually imaging and you're actually doing the analysis of these X-rays and actually deeming what's going on and giving an analysis to the practitioner to know that what they're like looking at is cross-reference. Because I know I'm in a group that you're in and people send you like films all the time on like a picture and you're like, hey, Cliff, can you look at this? What do you see?
Yeah.
And then you put your X-ray hat on and you're like, well, this is what I see. And this is how, why this is effective measure for like seeing if there is type of a subluxation. And I think that that's something that, we can all like, sleep easy at night knowing that people are actually utilizing like the advancement of X-ray to like determine what's going on in a chiropractic case.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do want to point out though, radiology as a specialty, we got burned early on. I don't know if you know this, but when they discovered X-rays in the beginning, everyone was like, oh man, this is the coolest thing. We can see through hands and your face. And then they discovered it was bad in super high doses. People's arms would fall off because they got leukemia, they'd go blind. And so I think that kind of made the whole radiology community very, very cautious about now, uncovering the truth about how harmful radiation is. And so it's been very slow, especially in the medical community, to accept that it's actually not as bad as we originally thought it to be.
So do you have any favorite mantras or motivational quotes that keep you fired up every day?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a few. So, and more recently, I'm sure you heard that Kobe Bryant from the Lakers passed in that helicopter crash, and his Mamba mentality, I love it. I'm a strong believer that, everyone is both nature and nurture. We're born with God-given talents and things like that, but everyone has the ability or the potential to become almost anything they want, right? Not anything, but almost anything if you put your work into it. You got to be smart about it. And so I love training for things that, not so much now, but even things that I'm pretty sure God did not intend me to be like a runner. I just don't have the physique, but I loved it. And so, I would run. Now, not so much because I have pain whenever I run, but so that's one thing, the Mamba mentality. You got to be diligent, you got to work hard, and you got to train for these things. And then another thing is what I do on a day-to-day basis when I'm looking at X-rays, and this is what I tell my chiros when I'm teaching, and my associates too. Well, they know it already, is a few different things. So I say, you should look at every X-ray 2 times, especially if you're the chiropractor that took the X-rays. And you might think, well, why would you look at it twice? It doesn't really change from one look to the other look. So the first time you look at it, you look at it without any extra information. You might think, what's this extra information? Well, for the chiropractor that took the X-ray, it means, forget about why they came in, forget about what they look like, forget about how they're paying, where their pain is, all that stuff, because you just want to look at the X-ray for what it is. And that's, to be as objective as possible and make sure you don't miss anything. That's look number 1. And then look number 2 is you reinsert that stuff back in your head. Oh, they came in because they have L3 pain, or I palpated something at C4. Let's look a little bit closer. Let's focus in on that area and see how we can change our report just to make it a little more custom tailored. So that's one thing. Another thing is kind of along the same lines is, when we look at an X-ray, I'm looking for bad stuff all the time. Most people don't have it, but I'm going to assume they have a tumor, and I got to find it. 99% of the time they don't have one, or I don't see one. But I think, if you have that mindset going in, you're not going to miss anything. And number 2, or this is 3, or maybe 4, is assume you're going to be deposed or go to trial and defend, what I'm putting on this report. So you have to, be detailed and be thorough on your reports. And so that helps me, put out a good product. I believe that, can help patients and help chiropractors.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, Posture Screen, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Moguls, 5-Star Management, Chiro Health USA, Local Gold, The Goodman Factor, McCaffrey Clinical Mentoring, Chiro Thin, Unmarket Your Practice, and Free My Pain Now with Dr. Matt DeDuro. Let's hustle.
Yeah, I think what you're saying there just makes sense to me because we all want to have like a commitment to excellence.
Yeah.
And like you said, you might not have like the runner's physique, but if you do something long enough and strong enough and train for it, eventually you become a runner. And like we can overcome many things that are like, some people are like, well, how can that guy do what he's doing? Well, with enough time and practice and like commitment to anything, I think they say it takes 10 years to become an expert in anything, or so many, I don't know the amount of hours, but just knowing that you can like go from like, a neophyte in any type of subject matter, and in 10 years you can be speaking on stage about it. That just shows that if you wanted to, Luke wants to go become like a marathoner. If he started running tomorrow, in 10 years, he'd be running marathons. So there's certain things that are like, benchmarks for the excellence. And I think that the first thing was really cool, but I also think, we don't want to, honestly, we don't want to guess with people's health. And if chiropractors really got into the arena to like change people's lives and to help people and serve humanity, yeah, look at everything more than once. and build relationships not only with the diagnostic aspect of that patient, but also build a relationship with the outcome. And that's making somebody a higher level contributor that has a higher quality of life. And I think that that's really what chiropractors all stand for, is they want to contribute to people's life on a day-to-day basis, and they want to help them have higher level of performance. So whether that's keeping them getting checked and adjusted regularly from cradle to grave, or whether that's getting somebody through the MVA, the motor vehicle accident, and restoring them back to quality of life that is sufficient for that individual and for the outcome. I think that that's really why chiropractors dedicate their time to learning how to study. They learn how to work on biomechanics. They learn how to identify any type of postural distortions. And then the idea is to give a better quality of life. So really what you said there goes full circle with dedication to excellence and knowing what you know is what you know. And then also having an expert that you can refer to, like yourself, that can say, okay, well, you might have missed something. Let me give you a third look, or let me give it a fourth look, or let my colleagues give it a look as well. So I think that, like back to what I said earlier, we don't want to guess with health. And the more diagnostic that we can be, the deeper dive that we can do to have a better outcome. I think that all that is very well positioned. And I think that the more that we think on those terms, chiropractors that are going to be listening to this episode are going to reach out to you. They're going to say, well, I might not know X-ray well enough. Cliff, can you give me another third look? Or how about we hire your company to do the X-ray analysis for us, because we're so slammed that we need somebody as a resource like you to make sure that we're practicing it with our excellence.
I agree. Yeah, I say it's even better. Well, I mean, we know it's better, but I have some chiros that send, I call it cherry picking. They just send ones where they think there's something abnormal. But from my standpoint, well, what about all the ones you miss? What about all those? And, they're probably not missing a whole bunch of things, but one thing I like to say, well, I don't like saying it, is, you know how many bad cases it takes to ruin your career? One bad case. I had a good friend of mine, actually. He's been in practice over 30 years. And, he'd send me the odd X-ray on film, too. He's older guy. He still has film-based X-ray, so he'd mail them to me. And one day he called me and he said, hey, Cliff, can you take a look at this X-ray? And, just between you and me, this patient didn't do well, and now there's a malpractice suit on his hands. She's suing him for missing osteoporosis on the X-ray. And so I looked at the X-ray, and then he also told me that she had some kind of tumor, I don't know, when she was younger, and she had radiation. And I say, well, the radiation itself can cause osteoporosis, but even on the X-ray, it's pretty clear that she has osteoporosis. And I'm like, and he said, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty clear to me that there's osteoporosis on there. And so now he sends me all his X-rays. And, it's sad that it had to come down to that, where someone had to get hurt or, permanently injured in some way. But sometimes that's what it takes to get someone to realize that it's probably better to have someone else, someone who does it regularly, an expert, look at the X-rays. And not just one. I mean, one is better than none, but it really should be all of them. And even from a business standpoint, if you get into the regular habit of sending these things out, so you're not trying to, to be honest, it doesn't take us very long to read an X-ray, 5 to 10 minutes. But for the chiropractor to come up with the same report that we come up with, it could take half an hour. It could take, I don't know how long it takes, but so it's your time that you're saving by getting a better, more quality and more thorough report. And I think patients would appreciate it. Hey, this is where I draw the line. I do this stuff. I have this guy that looks at these things. He's a specialist, just to make sure there's nothing else going on, and that, you're good to go for our treatment plan. So that's how I bill it. I think, I mean, that's best case scenario. I know we're not in a perfect world, but I think that would work best for patients, for chiropractor, and also our profession.
And that loops us into that statement, time is money. And I know that a lot of times people, the more that they can have like actual patient care hours, the more money they make. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things that you could bill out for quite easily and still make more money. And sometimes the old sayings, you have to spend money to make money. And sometimes we just have to do that very effectively. So, I think it's cool what you do and the service that you provide to the chiropractic profession, and that you have such an excellence with your standards of what you do and how you can help people. I guess one of the questions that we have here on the rundown of the interview is, what could we accomplish if more people just simply knew about chiropractors and utilize chiropractic services?
Oh man, I mean, so many things. I mean, just uh, think about how many people are sick, and just in the U.S., we have so many people on opioids now, right? That's a big thing now. People on these opioids, and granted, some of them have to be on it, but I bet there's thousands, tens of thousands that don't have to be on it. Even just that. Imagine how many more healthy people we have. From an employer standpoint, employee satisfaction goes up. People are more productive. I mean, it's endless. I don't even know. I don't know. I mean, it's so obvious to me, if we have healthier people living, that it's just going to be a better place.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree full on. And I think that it goes back to BJ Palmer's big idea. One person gets adjusted, it makes a healthier house. Next person gets adjusted, it makes a healthier community. The next person gets adjusted, it's going to make a healthier city, then state, then country. And the efficiency of like the individual improves. There's less sick days. And as you say, the opiate deal, that's like the blanket like thing, like fibromyalgia. Like how about let's have I think they call that a garbage can diagnosis because they don't know what to say. And
Yeah.
I think that the opiate epidemic became the garbage can type of approach to healthcare. Is we don't know what to do, so you're going to go on this. Same with
Yeah.
staff. You don't know what to do with your health, so you're going to go on this. And so now we have like these things that have been like indoctrinated to us, but they were deemed safe. And I think that people, if they just got checked and adjusted regularly, there wouldn't be the need for those type of garbage can diagnosis or garbage can approaches for people's health. And I think a lot of times people just go to whatever it is that somebody with like a degree tells them because they don't know how to make their own informed decisions. So
Right.
now they have somebody that's making an informed decision with them, but is it really like health that they're providing to them? So when you say like it could help with this opiate situation, heck yeah, it could. Because now we are adjusting more spines and removing the blockages of the subluxation, allowing innate to flow. And if people don't know what that means, the body was designed to be healthy. It wasn't designed to be sick. So when people get adjusted regularly, it allows the body to have homeostasis, as you guys know, as the chiropractic community, which is the balance of health.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're like actually moving to a direction of a better quality of health and a better quality of life, I think that that's what would change if more people, had the opportunity to build a relationship with a healthcare provider that wasn't interested in prescribing.
Yeah. Oh, I agree 100%.
So where do you see the profession heading in the next 20 years?
Oh, that's an interesting question, Luke. So my practice, we serve all chiros, the guys on this side and the guys over here. And, the guys over here, I don't remember which. So these are the subluxation guys. And these are the, medically oriented guys. I read X-rays for everybody. And it seems to me that there's the vision is greater now. So, I don't know if that means they're going to be two separate professions. I feel like there's definitely some people, especially on this side, the medical guys, that kind of, want to, cut the cut the string right here. So these guys go this way, and these guys go this way. I don't know if that's possible, but it seems like that's what a lot of them want. I don't like that idea personally. I'm more of I guess, a big family guy. I think everyone could get along. I'm sure that, there's extremes on either end that will always have their views. But, I think if people just came to an understanding, I had to, I can go into that a little bit later, that we're really here for this, all the same reasons, just to get people better, get people healthier. We can adjust them. These guys have a bunch of other tools they can use to get people healthier. We're really here for the same reason. Our philosophies might differ, or they do differ a little bit, but I think people just need to understand that we really should be on the same page. We just have different tools and different ways to skin the cat, right?
So do you have any favorite marketing or advertising strategies?
Oh, I'm not well, maybe I am now. I never was a big business or advertising guy, but I like Facebook. It's a nice little social outlet for me. I don't know if you're familiar with a typical radiology practice, especially a chiropractic radiologist. My practice is at home, and so I'm here at home all alone all day, nobody to talk to, man. This interview could go on for hours if you want. So social media stuff kind of keeps me engaged. I get out once in a while and talk to people. So and now it's more, for me, it's I like the social outlet, and hey, if I can get a little bit more exposure to some chiros that are my target audience type, hey, even better, right? So yeah, Facebook, I don't do any ads. It's more just about commenting here and there in this group or that group, and just I'm not a big seller. I don't want to tell people, hey, here's who I am, here's what you should do. I'm more about, this is what I do. If you're congruent with my beliefs, then here's my information, contact me. I don't like the pushy tactic that some people have.
Now, I know you stated earlier that you don't really talk to your patients much, but our next question happens to be, how do you keep engaged with your practice members?
Oh, well, so my practice members are all chiropractors. So I don't have, I had next to zero contact, several years ago, and we decided, well, we meaning me, I decided that, I'm going to nix all patient contact. I used to, I don't know if we're allowed to discuss, well, I'm not really going to discuss fees, but I used to charge patients double what I would charge doctors. Is that a dog? And, because it would just take longer, and but still, it wouldn't be worth my time, even though I charged double. So then I decided, it's time. I can't answer to patients if they contact me. I said, you got to go through a chiropractor. Please don't try to contact me again. Go through a chiro, and we'll do it that way. It's better. So how do I keep engaged with my chiros? It's whenever I try to just keep the lines of communication open. I'm sure you guys do the same thing. I have a phone, I can text, they can message me on Facebook, they can email me. I even have a fax. I don't use it very often, but when I send my reports to the chiros, I'll just say, hey, here's a report. If you have any questions, let me know. And so just, I think letting them know I've, always open for communication, and if there's any questions, feel free to contact me.
So let's talk about you personally for a little bit. Are you in the middle of any books? Do you listen to podcasts? What are some of your hobbies?
Oh man, you might not like my answer. So So I have this additional certification called a DACBR, DACBR. And the big joke is that DACBR stands for don't adjust, can barely read. Because really what we do, I just look at pictures and then I type up a report. I don't have to read words or anything. My job is very simple, very simple. Look at a picture. Now I just dictate it. I don't even have to type anymore, hardly. And that's it. So, all these books here, I just look at the pictures. I just read the little caption underneath. It's, I fall asleep when I read. So yeah, I don't, I love the value of the knowledge I can gain from the books. But yeah, I don't.
Audiobooks?
No, I do like audiobooks and podcasts, but I find that I don't have a commute. So it's very hard for me to come up with an efficient time to listen to these things.
Yeah.
I know I sound like I'm a whiner. I don't have a commute. I can't listen to I can't read a book. But yeah, I could carve out some time. But to me, I'm all about efficiency and kind of doing two things at the same time, doing it well still. So yeah, I don't really have a time where I can listen to a podcast, and drive or do something else at the same time. Skiing maybe, but I think I'd be a little bit distracted.
So you're a big skier?
Oh, I love skiing, Luke. Yeah, going tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, I try to ski about 20 days a year is what I do now. Used to be more. I used to do 40 a year.
That's great.
Now it's a little bit subdued.
Well, we are starting to come up on the tail end of this interview. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we have not asked you?
I don't think so. Okay, can I promote my ski seminar or?
Sure, go for it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's March 13, 14, 15, and I call it the Mammoth Chiro Ski Conference because it's at Mammoth Lakes in California. And so we have 15 hours of CE approved for California only. We have 4 speakers or so. We have food, and just a quick snippet on how we do things. We do not have any classes between 8:40 a.m. and 4 p.m. Everything happens before or after. So we have a long break from 8:40 a.m. to 4 p.m. so we can ski. So that's my way of kind of being efficient, right? I can ski. I can get some CE. I can write off my ski trip now.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that's
your website for that?
I do. It's www.clifftowdcdacbr.com.
Say that again, Cliff Tow. Sorry, I'm writing it down too.
Oh, sorry. Cliff Tow DC.
DC.
DACBR.
Got it.
Just remember, don't adjust, can barely read.
Are there any other websites or social media links you want people to know about?
Oh, they can like me on Facebook or follow me. I think that's what they call it on LinkedIn. So yeah, I have a page on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and I think it's kind of cool. I post at least weekly an interesting, I think, educational or teaching case, and I get people to answer. I even have prizes every once in a while. My prizes are literally junk, though. They're just things that I pick up from various chiropractic meetings and conferences, and then I send them off to people if they get the answer right. So, yeah, like my page or find me on LinkedIn. They can message me through there if they need any additional help with their imaging needs, and I'd be happy to help.
Awesome. Well, that pretty much wraps up this episode of Chiro Hustle. Cliff, I want to thank you very much for being our guest today. I know we had a lot of fun on this one.
Thank you very much, Luke. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, Cliff, thanks for making time today. It was a dynamic episode, and I really believe that the things that you shared will help the profession, and that's really why we do what we do, is we want to share the message and be the amplifier and keep free speech alive and well in this beautiful profession of chiropractic.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
So that concludes this episode, and we want you to enjoy the rest of your afternoon, all right?
All right, Cliff, we'll see you on the next one, okay?
All right. Bye for now.
All right, see you.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.